Okay, so we have this is Chapter 7, Section 5. We have factored some binomials so far. If we had something like this, then we would take out the greatest common factor. Greatest common factor between 4 and 12 is going to be 4. And then they each have an x, so I'm going to take out that x. And then remember distributive property, 4x times x gives me 4x squared. And 4x times negative 3 gives me negative 12x. Okay, so that's something we've already done. Now we're going to take a look at factoring trinomials. And so if I have something like x squared, let's start with this one, x squared plus 8x plus 12. Okay. And so if you'll remember, a couple sections ago we did the FOIL method and we did the distributive property method, and where we would take something that looked like this and we would multiply it together and get something that looked like this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this trinomial and we're going to go backwards and make it look like two binomials. So here's how we do it. We're going to start off every problem with two sets of parentheses. Remember, we would do first times first. So there's only one way that we can take x's and get x squared if we multiply them, and that's x times x. So now what we're going to do is off to the right here, we're going to go over and we're going to do the factors of 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. And we're going to look at those and find out which one of those factors will add together to give me that 8 that's in the middle. Well, that's 13. There's my 8, and that's 7. So those are my two factors, which means those are the values that go at the end of my parentheses. Now, how can I multiply to get a positive 12? I need to look at the signs now, and add to get a positive 8. So both of those signs would be plus. Now, if we FOILed this thing, x squared, 6x, 2x, and 12. So we end up with x squared plus 8x plus 12, which is what we started with. That's exactly what we want. So our answer is x plus 2 times x plus 6. Now, that one's pretty simple because all of the signs are positive, and so I know all of my signs in my multiplication are positive. So what happens if I have something that's negative? So let's go with this one. Let's go x squared plus 4x minus 21. Okay. First rule every time is we're going to start with two parentheses, or two sets of parentheses. At the beginning, there's only one way we can get x squared, and that's x times x. Now, we're going to go over here, and we're going to do just factors of 21. We're not going to worry about the negative sign right now. So that's 1 and 21, and 3 and 7. Now, obviously, there's no way I can put a 1 and a 21 together to get 4, so I'm going to cross that one off. However, how can I combine a 3 and a 7 to give me positive 4? Well, if I did negative 3 plus 7, that would give me 4. So those are going to be my factors, negative 3 plus 7. Again, it's going to multiply to get negative 21, and they're going to add together to get 4. And so I'm not going to draw the arrows this time. First times first is x squared. Outside times outside is 7x. Inside times inside is minus 3x. And last times last is negative 21. Again, I'm just checking this. You don't have to do this. I just want to show you that we'll end up getting the same value that we started with. So our answer is x minus 3 times x plus 7. And so a little bit of trial and error again. All we're going to do is factor. We won't be solving any in this case, but if we did solve them, all we would do is take that x minus 3 and that x plus 7, and just like we did in the last section, tee them up. And we can kind of skip this because we know what the answer is going to be. This would be 3, and this would be negative 7. So if they do ask you to solve, and we may do some solving in this one. I said no at first, but there might be a few on there. We'll take a look at that. So that is Chapter 7, Section 5, Factoring Quadratics.